Bruno Guimarães is a beast.
Box, as players make their move, Bruno fires it in!
Bruno Guimarães.
How we've got him, I've got no idea.
I think he's one of the top 10 all-around midfielders in the world.
After winning the Premier League, Arsenal have gone out and signed one of the best midfielders in England.
Arsenal have agreed a £75 million fee with Newcastle for their captain, Bruno Guimarães.
You know, this is a huge transfer, absolutely huge.
Bruno Guimarães is a player who can control games, is excellent in duels, and makes everyone around him better.
Bruno Guimarães as one of the best they've ever had in this position.
Premier League proven for many, many years, a true leader. So it adds an awful lot.
I don't think people realize just how good Arsenal have now become. Bruno to Arsenal is a move that I actually thought would happen years ago, back when he was still at Lyon.
O Bruno's hockey magic, he wears a magic hat. He couldn't say for Arsenal, but he has said fuck that.
The Gunners were trying to upgrade their midfield at the time, and he looked like the perfect piece as this box-to-box midfielder. He could do everything. He could break up attacks, control the tempo, but also beat the press and start attacks with one perfectly timed pass. That's why Arsenal were so desperate to get him now, because him and Rice, they're just gonna bully everyone. One of his biggest strengths was how calm he stayed under pressure. No matter how many opponents closed him down, Bruno always seemed to have a second or two more than anyone else.
I know one thing that particularly caught your eye was how effective he is when there's pressure around him.
But I think that's a big part of being a midfield player now, because almost every team, or most teams, you want to play for a top team, they're going to play from the back and they're going to play through midfield. So you've got to be able to deal with pressure. And also on the flip side of that, most teams now, the way the game's played, is people want to press high, they want to get after the opposition and push up the pitch. So as a midfield player, you've got to be press resistant, you've got to be able to handle pressure.
Before the ball even reached him, he'd already scanned the pitch, knowing exactly where his teammates and opponents were. That allowed him to turn away from pressure and play forward instead of taking the safe option. It might sound simple, but very few midfielders can do it consistently. That's what made him so valuable for Lyon. Instead of panicking when teams pressed high, Bruno would just play straight through them. A dangerous situation in his own half could suddenly just become a counterattack within a few seconds. During his final full season at Lyon, he was one of the best midfielders in Europe when it came to passing under pressure. He also ranked towards the top for progressive passes, carried the ball forward more than almost anyone in his position, and regularly switched the play with these accurate long balls. That's why Newcastle went in for him. At the time, they were in serious trouble, sitting 19th in the Premier League, looking like genuine relegation candidates. Yet in his first press conference, Bruno was talking about wanting to take Newcastle to be among Europe's elite.
It was definitely the project that the club have. We know that the goal this season is remaining in the Premier League. That's the challenge. I'm someone who is driven by challenges. I'm really happy with the faith that's been shown in my ability and work.
Most people just brushed off his comments as PR-trained answers, but the Brazilian wasn't joking around. Over the next 4 seasons, Bruno became the heart of Newcastle's team and one of the best midfielders in the entire Premier League. In 153 league appearances, he scored 30 goals and provided 26 assists. Incredible numbers for someone who at many points in the season was playing as a sole defensive midfielder. All of the things that he did at a high level at Lyon, he was now doing it at Newcastle. No player on Newcastle had more line-breaking passes per 90 than Bruno. He also consistently ranked highly in passes attempted under pressure.
And we actually look at him where he ranks, not just for midfield players, but the Premier League across every position. And you look at this graphic here, and 2 Manchester City players at the top, Reece James there also, but Bruno Guimarães there in 4th position right across the Premier League, and shows how good he is when he gets pressed.
Bruno played a massive role in Newcastle qualifying for the Champions League twice and ending their long wait for silverware by winning the Carabao Cup in 2025.
How does it feel?
73 years. It's a lot for these fans. They deserve everything. When I first came here, I said, I want to put my name in the club's history. And that's it. After 73 years, we can now say we are the champions again.
Under Eddie Howe, Bruno became the player that everything revolved around. He brought the perfect balance of aggression and elegance. One minute he'd be flying into a challenge, the next he'd be playing a perfectly weighted pass through the lines. Whenever Bruno was missing, Newcastle really struggled. Their midfield lost its rhythm, the team looked less composed, and it became obvious just how much they relied on him.
What the really good players do,
they affect games, and he is affecting games at this moment in time.
As the years went by, he wasn't just their best midfielder anymore. He was their captain, their leader, the player the fans looked to whenever the team needed inspiration. Now, if you didn't catch any of Bruno Guimarães' brilliance at Newcastle, that's fine, because he also balled out for Brazil at the World Cup on the biggest stage for everyone to see. While Brazil had plenty of stars in attack, Bruno was the player holding everything together in the midfield. He was the one that helped in the build-up, but was also creating chances in the final third. Easily one of Brazil's most important players. Against Morocco in the group stage, he controlled the midfield, completed 32 passes, won several key tackles, and picked up his first assist of the tournament. He followed that up with another solid display against Haiti, helping Brazil control the game while picking up an assist. Then came bagpipe-loving Scotland. In this game, Bruno was at his creative best, producing 2 assists in one of Brazil's strongest performances of the group stage. He makes this wonderful third-man run, uses his strength to hold the ball under pressure, then shows great patience and composure, waiting for Cunha to make a run around him. In the round of 32 against Japan, he once again ran the midfield, completed 46 of his 51 passes, and grabbed another assist, bringing his tournament total to 4.
Guimaraes. Pass through, what a ball, Martinelli!
But I think when I look at the winning goal, it's Bruno Guimarães for me. I think he's the one that's holding that midfield together. I loved the way he was so calm on the edge of the box, because 99% of the midfield players would have thought, well, the seconds on the clock, if I don't pull the trigger, you know, we're never going to score. Let's try my luck. It might just fly into the top corner, where he played the percentages and he thought, no. Slow it down. Martinelli's in a far better position than I am. He used his brains, he used his quality, and then Brazil went and won the game with a great finish from Martinelli. So Bruno Guimarães for me.
Now yes, Brazil ended up losing to Norway, and a big reason for that was because Bruno Guimarães missed his penalty, but still, he was one of Brazil's best players during the entire World Cup, and he was one of the best midfielders at the tournament. According to The Athletic, last season, a huge number of Bruno's progressive passes came in the right half spaces. That's where he's at his most dangerous, receiving the ball, turning away from pressure, and finding teammates between the lines. The assumption is that he's going to play as the left central midfielder, but he can still find those same passes into those pockets of space, just playing to Ødegaard this time. The best part is that he doesn't always need spectacular passes to break a defense apart. Sometimes it's a simple forward ball at exactly the right moment. Other times it's a clever 1-2 that pulls defenders out of position before he delivers the killer pass. He's also become much more of a goal threat. During the 2025-2026 season, he scored 9 league goals, the best return of his career. The goals also came in all sorts of ways. He scored from outside the box.
Bruno Guimarães. Spectacular.
Found the net with headers. Converted penalties, and even scored directly from a corner. Keep in mind, he was also doing it on a Newcastle team that ended up finishing in the second half of the table. But Bruno's game isn't just about attacking. He's also an incredibly aggressive defender. Bruno loves stepping forward to win the ball. He looks to tackle opponents before they can even turn, rather than simply cutting off passing lanes. That front foot style is one of the reasons he wins the ball back so often, and fits perfectly into a team like Arsenal that wants to press high.
Look at the numbers. So we're looking at, you know, as I said, those sitting midfield players who play for the top teams, and why Bruno Guimarães is different. So straight away, you look at the defensive side of it. Now, he's making more tackles per 90 than anybody else, and he's winning possession more than basically everybody except Declan Rice.
With Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice playing so many minutes last season, Arsenal needed another top-class central midfielder who could rotate in there without seeing a drop-off in quality. He's far too good to sit on the bench, and alongside Rice, Arsenal now have another midfielder who can win battles, drive the team forward, and control matches both with his aggression and his quality on the ball. One of Bruno's biggest strengths is his versatility.
What we find out with midfield players, we almost put them in certain positions in terms of numbers, so we call someone a 6 or an 8 or a 10. And we sort of pigeonhole that and then nothing else. He feels like, to me, like he's the type of player who could play all of those roles.
He can play as the deepest midfielder, sit in a double pivot, or push further as a number 8. Wherever Arteta needs him, Bruno has the intelligence and technical ability to adapt. When Arsenal build out from the back, do not be surprised to see Bruno drop really deep in between the center backs to collect the ball and start the plays. As I mentioned earlier, he's incredibly calm under pressure. In fact, he's one of the best midfielders in the world at playing through an opposition press. But this isn't someone who just sits in front of the defense. When Arsenal dominate possession, Bruno loves making late runs into the box. It's a big reason why his goal scoring numbers have improved so much over the last few years. He gives Arsenal another player who can arrive unnoticed and punish teams that defend with everyone behind the ball, which, let's face it, is every team against Arsenal now. The exciting part is how he fits in alongside Arsenal's other midfield stars. If Bruno plays next to Declan Rice, Bruno becomes the main playmaker, controlling the tempo and moving the ball forward, while Rice can use his incredible athleticism to cover ground, win tackles, and protect the defense like a condom.
You've got the two first choice now of Guimaraes and Rice. Imagine lining up against them two next season. That is a world-class midfield.
If Arteta wants more control on the ball against a team that presses really high, he can even partner Bruno Guimarães with Zubimendi. They actually complement each other perfectly. Both players are incredibly comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, on the half turn, making it much harder for opponents to disrupt Arsenal's build-up play. Then there's Martin Ødegaard. Him and Bruno Guimarães could end up being one of the best partnerships in the Premier League. Bruno loves playing these sharp passes into the half spaces, which is exactly where Ødegaard does his best work. By drawing midfielders towards him, Bruno creates pockets of space that allow Arsenal's captain to receive the ball facing goal and create chances. That's what makes this midfield so dangerous. Declan Rice brings the power, Martin Ødegaard and Eze bring the creativity, Zubimendi brings control, Mikel Merino brings goals, and Bruno Guimarães, he packages a little bit of everything from all of those guys into one. There's another reason Arsenal pushed so hard to sign him. As I stated earlier, last season Rice and Zubimendi barely got a chance to rest. They played huge number of minutes across the Premier League, Champions League and domestic cups. And by the end of the season, the physical fatigue was starting to show. If you guys remember, one of the reasons that Arsenal's form took a dip in the latter half of the season last year is because Zubimendi was so fatigued. He was essentially ran into the ground, and Arsenal only got better when they started using Lewis Skelly in the central midfield position. Christian Norgard filled that role at times, but after just making 7 league appearances without a single start, Arsenal decided to sell him to Everton and replace him with Bruno Guimarães. It's a massive upgrade, and now Arteta can rotate without sacrificing quality. Whether Rice, Zubimendi, or Bruno starts, Arsenal won't lose control, intensity, or technical quality. And that's what this signing is really about. It's not just about improving Arsenal's starting 11, it's about making sure they can maintain the same level across an entire season while competing for every single trophy. It's crazy that they only got him for £75 million. That's a bargain in today's market. I understand that the fee was lower because he's pushing 30, but worst case scenario, Arsenal will still be able to get 2 to 3 good seasons from him at the top level. After finally winning the Premier League, Arsenal could have stood still. Instead, they've gone out and signed one of the league's best midfielders, a player right in the middle of his prime who adds quality, leadership, and even more depth to an incredible squad. To see just how good this Arsenal team is, you have to watch this video right here.